Well, good morning. I want to welcome you all here this morning. I'm Dave Beam, and this is the Power of Prioritizing. And I've got a great presentation for you this morning. I want to thank the Portsmouth, Ohio Chamber. We have Donna with us helping us out today. I appreciate her help. And we've also got other sponsors, the Maysville Chamber, the Grayson Chamber, the Adams County Chamber, and the Ashland Alliance. And we appreciate all of our sponsors and our help. What they do to sponsors is they basically just promote this as an added value back to their members. And we appreciate that partnership and them getting the word out. It makes for a great group of people. And we have a full house today. So I've got a great presentation. We're talking about the power of prioritizing. And I want to start off a little different with a quote from Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. He said, "I would not give a fig for the simplicity this side of complexity, but I would give my life for the simplicity on the other side of complexity." And I find that to be a very interesting statement. The fact is, we live in a very complex world. If you've noticed, a very busy world. We have a lot of things going on, a lot of things that have our attention, a lot of things we have to do, a lot of things to keep straight. That's most people. Now, a few of you may have been able to somehow get away from that or minimize that, and that's great. But I think most of the people that I work with and talk to typically use the word overwhelmed. They are just in a sea of demands and activity and things they have to do. So today we're going to talk about basically a toolbox of how to prioritize. And I'm going to share several different techniques and ways. This is very practical today that you can use to help get that clarity or that simplicity on the other side of complexity. What Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. was saying is, if you're just simple-minded and you're just simple and you don't think, there's really no value in that. He wouldn't even give a fig for that. But to have that clarity and simplicity once you've thought things through and you have clear priorities is priceless. And that's, well, I want to help you do that today. That's why we're here. So, the rules of the game. We always talk about this. We always kick it off with this. You're going to agree to some things this morning if you want to get the most out of this time together. You're going to be an owner. That means if it's to be, it's up to you, or if it's be, it's up to me. If I'm an owner, I'm not going to blame other people or make excuses or not deal with the issues. I'm going to own it. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to step up to the challenge. Participation 100%. I'm going to talk a little more about that here in a moment. That is the challenge today, is to participate with this whole concept 100%. Get rid of your I know. A lot of this will be familiar. If you've been around the personal growth industry or coaching at all, or even consulting, you've heard most of these techniques. I don't think you're going to hear anything new. You might hear something you've never heard before that'll be helpful, but it's not the content, it's the putting it into action in the context that gets things done. We're going to have some fun today. This can get real heavy. This can get real guilt-ridden. I'm not into shame. I'm into game. That's why I call it the rules of the game. So if you'll do that, if you'll own it today, participate, get rid of your I know, just be curious and interested and have some fun, then if you agree to those four things, you'll get a lot out of this today. That's me. I've been married for 38 years to Connie. We just got back from seeing the grandkids. That's Nathan down in North Carolina. He has 3 kids and his wife. And I'm the granddaddy of all granddaddies. I was in that role. And this weekend, I've been a business leadership coach for about 20 years, a little over 20 years. certified biblical counselor. I love in that role to help people with personal issues from a spiritual standpoint, and I have a passion to help people. So that's me. I always want to know when I come to something like this, well, who is this guy? That just gives you a snapshot. So, the need and the challenge. Please put on your listening ears, as they say. Get rid of all your distractions, turn off your phone, put your other devices aside, and just tune in right now to me, what I'm going to say. You've got more to do. You've got nonstop email. You've got texts. You've got expectations from work, from your family, from organizations, from friends. And here's the result, my friends. You're overwhelmed. You're confused. You're guilty. You're stressed. You're worried. You're worrisome. You're anxious. You're distracted. And here, from a coaching perspective, is the need. People are not getting things finished. They're not getting the results they want. Everywhere you turn, there's chaos, confusion, disorder, and that's kind of the default state. Now, that is not true 1000% everywhere. There are some people that have gotten some handle on this and do well. So when I say that's the way it is, I'm telling you that's typically the way it is. I hope the folks that would come to something like this are doing a bit better than that, but you're here to get better at it. And it's called the law of entropy, that everything in nature tends to go disordered. If you leave things to themselves, what do? They don't get better, they deteriorate. Gardens grow weeds, cars get dirty, decay, things slow down, they fall apart. And so let's just be honest here that if we don't set our priorities, if we don't own this and step up to it, then the world and everything around us will flood in and fill our time with all kinds of things. I'm asking you to be an owner today, to step up and choose to set your own priorities. That's maturity. Now, you can make other people your priority, and you can make some of their priorities your priorities, but you're choosing it. You're proactive. You're not reactive. You're not just reacting to all the swirl around you. And that is the challenge. There's another challenge I want to talk about. The challenge is to do something about it. You came to this thing today for an hour or so. And if you're just going to sit and listen and you have no intention of changing, I would suggest you just log off now and go do something productive, because listening to all these ideas is not all that helpful. In fact, it can be counterproductive. You think you're doing something good because you're hearing something, but in truth, if you don't change as a result of this, it's a waste of your time. So if you're not going to do something with this, I'm not being mean or snappy. I'm just saying, for your own sake, you're not taking any extra time for me by being here, but I wouldn't waste an hour if I wasn't going to change. So that's the challenge. There's a huge need for prioritization, but if you're not going to take these tools, this is a toolbox tour today. I'm going to give you all kinds of tools, different ways and approaches to prioritization. If you're not going to pick up one of those tools and learn how to use it, then it's nice to feel good to have all these tools at your house or in your basement or in your garage. But if you don't pick up and learn how to use them, they're useless. And so I'm really challenging everybody on the call today, and everybody that might watch this later, that if you're going to invest an hour of your precious time in this, to do something about it, to take action. That's when you learn. So that's the formula. Clarity plus action gets results. Today, I think you might get some clarity on some how-tos, what I need to do to prioritize, what I'm missing. Oh, I never thought of that. And I think you'll have plenty of those moments today. But that's where you need to sit down. This is this 100% participation. That's where you need to sit down with a pencil and a paper, or a pen and a paper today, or however you keep track of things, maybe on your phone. But I'm just saying, when you get that light bulb today, when you get that idea, when you get that thought, That might be really helpful. Write it down and consider a commitment to doing something about it. Put it into action. Take a small step, even the tiniest step that direction within the next 24 hours. If I can have that unspoken commitment from you today, you will get the most out of this. Because once you get clear, and that's the first part, is get clear. That's what prioritizing things is about, is getting clear on what's most important, what needs to come first. But once you get that, you have to do it. And we all know that. I'm giving you common sense, but that's what I'm here to do, is to remind you that it's clarity plus action that gets the result. So I'm going to give you 9 helps for prioritization. You could look at this as 9 tools to help you prioritize. This content and the 9, actually, the outline came from Jory McKay and something he did online. If you want more information on that link, I can send that to you. But let's look at the first thing. The first thing is, I'm going to call these helps. Help number 1 is to write down everything that you want to accomplish. And my friends, that could take you a while to write down everything. David Allen, in his book, Getting Things Done, which I highly recommend, in fact, it's a system that I typically coach, that's his first principle, is that you need to capture everything. You need to get everything out of your head and onto paper or into a digital system. You may end up with a list of several hundred items to begin with in length. That's okay. Disorganized, kind of a mess, doesn't matter. The fact is, you're cleaning up the room, you're cleaning up the house, and you're getting it all into one box or one room or one corner. You're cleaning everything out and getting everything collected. Not clarified at this point, but collected. But you can't prioritize in a fog and a swirl of unclear items. We're calling it the master list today. I make a master list of everything I want to get done. I want to capture all of it. It's a brain dump. It has to be simple and it has to be easy to access. So I would just take a yellow pad if I was doing it on paper and just make one line for each item, just a long column, several pages in length if it needs to be. Or if you're doing it on a Word document or you're doing it electronically, you would make those lists, that list. And to do this well, you have to have a system that you can use. And that means every day you're going to have things that you add to that list. And hopefully every day you have things that you take off that list. It's just a huge to-do list. Now, we haven't done any prioritizing at this point, but the first step is you have to capture it all. When you're prioritizing, you want to consider everything, and you want your mind to be clear of everything, knowing that you've captured it all. It's kind of like when you throw everything in a box. The box is a mess, but you know everything is in that box. So somewhere in that box, I've got everything that was just laying around that was loose, and I had this comfort that at least I know it's all captured. So this is the capture. Some of this is going to be repeatable habits. So the first level of prioritization or organization with this list is you could divide it into daily things that you want to do every day, things that you want to do every week, things that repeat themselves every month, every quarter, every year. If you got that in, again, in an electronic format, or as you're collecting it, maybe you have a different sheet of paper for each one of those time periods. Everybody's going to have to use this tool the way it works for you. But I have a daily list of things. I have a weekly list of things. I have a monthly list of things. These would be things that you know are going to occur and they're going to repeat, perhaps, and you identify them and divide them up that way. You're already on the road to getting some priority, because at least you're getting that clarity to know what I do every day, what I do every week, what I do every month, what I do every quarter. You could organize your master list into those initial 5 categories. just by getting that level of clarity, your biocomputer, your brain is going to start to work to help you out. So that's, if you keep a list, you might consider dividing it into those 5 categories. That's the first step, or the first help. So I'm just going to let you give that a little bit of thought for a few seconds here before I move on. Create your master list. Now, if you don't have a master list and you're not willing to go out and create that, then again, this is a waste of time. That is necessary for all these other techniques, is to capture it all on a list if you want to do this well. Second, and this is where probably most of you have heard this in the Stephen Covey book, 7 Habits, First Things First. He uses something that I saw referred in this article to the Eisenhower matrix. I guess Dwight Eisenhower used this concept of importance versus urgency. Now, there's the quadrant, the 4 quadrants, and you've probably seen this before. At this point, this is something you can do with your list. This is a tool. It might make sense to discuss this distinction between what is important and what is urgent. So let's slow down our conversation here. I want you to think with me. You have things in your life, your whole life, that you want to get done. We'll call them long-term outcomes. Maybe they're not all really clear, but when you look back at your life at the end of your life and you have a chance to reflect, maybe you have a chance to reflect right now on your life, you have big, we'll call them goals, outcome goals, projects, dreams, bucket lists, whatever you want to call it, bigger things that you would love to do and love to have and love to accomplish, important things. And nobody, unless you put urgency on it, is going to put urgency on that. If you look at this little diagram here, that would be the not urgent important things. Now, folks, the busyness of life will crowd out the daily and weekly and monthly things you need to do to get there. Those things will take a back seat and be lost and become regrets, many of them, if you don't put an urgency on that. You don't turn them into something that's also urgent and important. You have to put the urgency on there. This is not something somebody else wants you to do. This is something that you want to do, that's important to you. It may not be urgent. Nobody's screaming at you. Nothing's pushing you, but it's something that's very important to you that you want to get done. And it's usually a longer term outcome. You have to break that down into daily, weekly, and monthly actions, mainly daily actions, to move one step toward that if we're going to get there. And how do you do that? Well, this is a great matrix. So in this matrix, you've got 4 kinds of issues. And as you go down that list that you've made now of all these things that you have to do, want to do, all these tasks, this master list, some of those issues are going to be in that category. They're going to be very important to you, but they're not urgent. They don't have to be done right now. The daily stuff we do that's important and urgent that's life, and that's always going to be there. They're going to be things that are important and they need to be done soon. They need to be done today or within a few days. Those are urgent, important things. But then there's these other 2 categories that have lower importance or no importance. There are people, this is where people pleasers get in a lot of trouble. They let other people's urgency and other people's priorities take over theirs. And they let people who are out of control start to control their life. Think about that. You let other people who aren't in the best of control start to control you. And so you end up doing a lot of urgent, not important stuff. And then you get burned out and you go veg out somewhere with some non-urgent, not important thing to kind of escape. It's not really renewing yourself. It's escapism with not urgent, not important stuff. And that becomes the tenor of our life. And pretty soon, those non urgent, important things go away. I call them the big rocks because you have a jar and you got to put rocks, gravel, water, and sand in there. You have to put the big rocks in first. Those important things that really matter get pushed out, and there's no room because we've allowed all this urgency and all this trivial stuff to fill in. So that is a huge learning if you've never had it before. I want to just go through those four categories and kind of give you a definition of each one. The urgent and important, that upper left hand box, these tasks need to be done as soon as possible. In other words, that's where we don't want to procrastinate. If it truly is important and it needs to be done, we need to get it done. Second, you've got the important but not urgent. That's the green box, the right box. That's where you need to make a proactive decision and schedule it. You need to set aside sacred time, special time to work on those things. If you don't make that a priority and set that aside, those things will not fit. They'll be lost. So that's the real learning in this. The urgent, important stuff, those are things we just have to do every day. They're important. So we need to do those as soon as possible, get them done. But those important, non-urgent things need to be scheduled. And that's where we need to use the beautiful word no to others. And we need to set aside the time to commit to those most important things that are going to take us towards those bigger outcomes that we want. The urgent, not important stuff, it's still things that need to take place. We should learn how to delegate those, or maybe to get other people to help us with those. And if it's not urgent or important, get rid of it. It's a distraction. It's taking up space in your precious life that it needs to go away. If you've got some bad habit things that you do that just take over all your time and waste time wasters, those need to be dropped. And that's common sense. How do I do that, Dave? As a coach, I'm helping people sort this stuff out and help holding them accountable to get it done. So that's what I do. That's my calling as a professional, to do that. But the concept, it's called the Eisenhower matrix, and I hope that's helpful. So that kind of helps us with this, the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, that 20% of our effort gets the 80% of the result. That 20% is actually going to be in that non-urgent important box. We won't spend any more time on that today, but that's another interesting thing that you can Google and check out. So we've created a master list. It's the first tool. And we've looked at distinguishing the importance versus the urgency using the Eisenhower matrix. Those are the two things we've looked at so far. Let's look at number 3. In this article I read, he talked about the Ivy Lee method. So let me give you that, the Ivy Lee method of prioritization. Number 1, at the end of each workday, write down the 6 most important things you need to accomplish tomorrow. Do not write down more than 6. So if you got your master list, it includes your work stuff. You go there and you look at the 6 most important things to do tomorrow, and no more than 6. In fact, when I work with people, I get it down to 2, TWO, a to-do list. The 2 most important things out of all the things you got to do that you're going to commit to. Think about it. If every day of your work life you committed to 2 most important things every day and got them done. Now, we know the rest of the day is going to be a swirl and stuff's going to come in and take time. But if every day you got the 2 most important things accomplished, think about what that month, what that year, what that quarter would look like. What if everybody on your team was doing that? So in this Ivy Lee method, he says not to write down more than 6. You can put down less than 6, but you're going to say, I've got every day before the next day, I'm going to figure out the 6 most important things to accomplish the next day. Number 2, put those items in the order of their true importance. So I've got this list of 6, and I'm going to arrange them. Number 1, this is most important. Then number 2, number 3, number 4. When you get to work the next day, concentrate only on task number 1. And you finish that task before you move to number 2. Now, the way this works in the real world is you got a lot of busy stuff going on at work when you get there that you're going to have to jump into. But I really encourage my coaching clients to set aside proactive, important, not urgent time to work on those most important things. And if you've got your list for the day of those top 3, those top 4, those top 6, you're going to work on number 1 and get it done before you move on to number 2. Multitasking is a delusion. You need to focus on one at a time. Think about the beauty of this. Approach the rest of your list in the same fashion. At the end of the day, move any unfinished items to the new list of the 6 tasks for the following day. So you move that list forward, and you're always working on the most important things every day. Repeat this every working day. That's the Ivy Lee method. Again, at the end of this, if you want to email me, I'll send you these slides and you'll have that method. You may find that's our help number 3, tool number 3. You may really love that. I would suggest, see, here's what my concern is. I'm going to be honest, transparent, raw with you. People come to these things. You could take that one idea right there and use it, start using it, and it would transform everything. But instead, I'm going to give you all these other things, and it becomes there's no priority in all this. We've got all these tools, this big toolbox. Well, I don't know which tool to use, Dave. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Pick one tool. I think the first tool, making a list, is kind of important for everything because you got to have something to choose from. But once you have your super Chinese buffet with your 433 dishes to choose from, you got to put something on your plate. And this is a way to fill your plate. I like it. Okay, let's move on. 9 helps or 9 tools for prioritization. We create our master list. We distinguish importance versus urgency using the Eisenhower matrix. Now we've looked at ranking those daily tasks every day using the Ivy Lee method. Let's go on to another tool. Here's the reality for probably a lot of people on this call. Dave, I've got so many things every day I have to do. I can't get even a sense of the priority. Well, Brian Tracy, who is a coach and a consultant in this area, has something called the ABCDE method. And I'm just going to explain this one. I don't have a slide for this one, but here it is. Go through your list and give every task a letter from A, B, C, D, E. So A being top priority, B being second, third. So you're just going through each item. Is that an A priority, a B, a C, a D, E? You do your best. You're guessing a little bit. It doesn't matter. Don't get hung up. Just use your intuition, A, B, C, D, E. And then go back and put all the A tasks together and give them a number in the order that you'll do those A tasks. So then you're going to have an A1, A2, A3, A4. And then you're going to have B1, B2, B through B4. You get the idea. You repeat it until all your tasks have a letter and a number. Now you have a plan. You're going to start with your A tasks, and complete those in order. And then you're going to move to your B list. It's just another method. If you got a bunch of stuff, that can help you sort them out in your brain and prioritize them. And one other thing that Brian Tracy talks about is eating frogs. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard this, but we have to have a picture for this. So there's the frog. What is a frog? A frog is what greets you every morning. But let's say it's that list of 6 things that you made the night before. One of those things on there, or maybe 2 of those things, are frogs. They're ugly. They're probably, unless you're a real fan of frogs, you don't like them. They make noise. And what you need to do is you need to pick that thing up and just shove it in your mouth and eat it and get it down. What's the point? You got to eat your frogs in the morning and get them out of the way. Take the most unpleasant task. So here's what I do every morning. I walk a mile every morning. That's my frog. I don't like to walk. Frankly, I don't like to move. It's a problem. But you know what? Just because I don't like it and it doesn't feel good doesn't mean it isn't important. And it doesn't mean that it doesn't change my life. So I get up and I do it. I eat the frog. Folks, you can't even imagine how you'll start to change in your mentality if you have a confidence that you get up every morning and face your frogs and take care of them first. It gives you a momentum for the day. Now, here's one of the quotes that I read out of this article about frogs. If you have to eat a live frog, it does not pay to sit and look at it for a very long time. In other words, don't sit there and think about whether or not to do it. Don't dictate, don't battle with yourself or argue with yourself. Should I do that? Shouldn't I do it? By the time you're done with the argument, you could have been done eating the frog. Just go ahead and do it. That's why I exercise the first thing in the morning before I'm fully awake, because I've already got most of it done by the time I wake up. I love it. I don't want to listen to myself. I want to talk to myself at that point. I don't want to listen to the voices in my head. I have to put stupid Dave in timeout and let smart Dave say, I'm going to eat my frogs. So that's another little fun thing to look at. And you can think about what your frogs are that you've been letting croak all over the office and make a mess. You need to just pick them up, put them in your mouth and swallow them. All right. So master list, Eisenhower matrix, importance versus urgency. Rank your daily tasks using the Ivy Lee method. That's another tool. You can use that further clarification with the ABCDE method. And you need to eat frogs. What's coming next? Number 6, prioritize outcome goals using Warren Buffett's, he's a billionaire, 2-list strategy. I'm going to give you his 2-list strategy here in a minute. But I want to talk about this outcome versus process. Goal setting. Outcome goals are those big picture items that set your direction, set your inspiration, set your big picture. They're big picture, long-term projects. You really can't even commit to them fully because there's a lot that happens in between you and the end of the road. But it sets your compass. Process goals are the daily tasks, and you absolutely, that night before, can commit to those daily tasks. It's the combination of doing daily tasks that you can commit to that will take you ultimately to your outcome goals if you stay on the path. That's the beauty of this. So here, sometimes people come to me and they say, Dave, I need some help with the big picture stuff. I do good with the day-to-day organization and prioritization, but I don't have this vision thing down, these big picture. How do I work on that? Well, let me give you Warren Buffett's 2-list strategy. The first step, don't you love this? This is just steps. The first step is you write down your top 25 big picture goals. These are dreams. These are ideas. These are things you'd like to see happen in your life. 25. Number the page 1 to 25 and write down 25. You may have to stretch to get 25, but just dream and make them up. Life goals, career goals, education goals, anything else that you would like to spend your life, your time on. Now, you've got this list of 25. You've worked hard on that list. You're going to circle the top 5 out of those 25. 20%. Sounds like the Pareto principle, doesn't it? I'm going to take the 20% of those, the 5 of those that are the ones that stand out. That if I had to choose, and I am choosing, what are the 5 that I want to get done? And you cannot move on in this process till you get those 5 things circled. Got a list of 25 and I've circled 5. Now, this is the magic of Warren Buffett's 2-list strategy. You're going to create the second list of those 20 other items. This is the avoid at all costs. These are the things you absolutely are forbidden to work on and do. These are the things you are choosing not to do. It's your not to do list. And it by far is more important than your to do list. Because all those other things, even though they might be good things, are going to keep you distracted from doing the 5 most important things. Isn't that interesting? In other words, it's weakness through dilution. You have too much on your plate, too much to eat. I've got 25 different things to eat. I need to get rid of 20 of them and focus on the 5. The not to do list is more important than the to do list. Less is more. No is a beautiful word. Use it often. We're getting rid of 80% of our list and saying, I'm forbidden. That's going on the forbidden list. I can't do those things. I refuse to do those things. Why? So that I can give my attention and my focus on the other 5. In other words, I'm exalting those 5 to a sacred place, to a place of most importance, to the point that I say no to the 20, so I will do the 5. Well, what happens if I get the 5 done? Well, then I can go back to that and I can recreate another list of 25 and do the same thing. That's Warren Buffett's tool. That's the way he prioritizes. What am I saying today to you? If you're not doing anything, start off with that. Try that one out. All of these are standalone in a sense. I think they all take a master list so you can get it all captured in one place. I think that's important. But these are ways to prioritize. And I like the simplicity of that one. Now we need to talk about, for number 7, this help. I'm just calling it a help number 7. We need to be aware of the sunk cost fallacy and avoid it. The article says humans are especially susceptible to the sunk cost fallacy. It's a psychological effect where we feel compelled to continue to do something just because we've already put time and effort into it. You know what this is? It's not working. And you keep fixing it. It's an old car. You keep taking it back to the shop. You keep putting money. It's a money pit. It's probably time to get rid of the car and change cars. But I've already put so much into this, I can't give up on it now. It's a sinking ship, and I keep trying to find the leaks and patch the holes. I'd be better off to get another boat and give up on this boat. It's a failing proposition. But my pride and my embarrassment and my obsession gets in my way. We need to be aware that human beings do that. We hold on to things. Here's where coaching is amazing. I come in and ask people, why are you still doing that? Why are you still trying to do it that way? It's not working. Folks, this is a painful thing to say. I see people in business that have somebody that they've hired that is a problem person. In other words, they're not getting the job. They're not getting it done. Their attitude is not changing. But they've spent so much time and effort in this person, they just can't be a quitter. They can't give up. And it's not quitting, it's releasing and setting you free and that person free to go a different direction. Get rid of the thought, look at it's the fly hitting the glass over and over. He's so persistent. He never gives up and he keeps banging that little head on the glass where he needs to stop and look for an open door and quit trying to go out the window. I think you see it. We need to be aware of that. If you may be in one of those cycles, round and round and round you go and end up at the same place, time after time after time after time after time. Stop the madness. Slow down. Take some time to think it through. Wouldn't it be better maybe to pursue something different? It is a good thing sometimes to leave something and do something different. I don't think we ought to leave things too quickly. We need to give things time to see how they're going to grow and how they're going to come along. But if you hold things loosely and you're willing to change, that is a good thing. And I find people sometimes it's almost they get hypnotized with their project or their thing or their a certain person, and they just won't let it sink and just let it go. So be aware of that. Number 8, create leverage by proactively working smarter. This is the old adage, work smarter, not harder. Use your time, use some of your time today to free up time tomorrow. In other words, some of the projects and priorities you need to set for today are things that will make it easier and better tomorrow. It might be reconstructing the way your desk is laid out to be more efficient. It might be setting up a scheduling software, or you're going to work proactively on your business or on your life and not in your life. You work on it to make it better in the future. We're working towards a future change. We're not just doing today. We're working on how to make it easier to do tomorrow. It might be thinking through how you're going to delegate, or how you're going to use another person, or how you're going to get another system, or how you're going to invest some money, or how you're going to do something to get a future return. These are investment projects. I'm going to invest in creating some leverage. What's leverage? It's doing more with less. How to take the little bit of time and energy I have and investing it so that I get a bigger result tomorrow. This is the compound interest, putting a little bit in savings and letting it leverage. That's using financial leverage. It's using through delegation social leverage by training somebody, working out a training. It's using my own intelligence and my own mind by investing some time and some training for myself or training for my team. It's the PPC balance in the Covey world. We've got productivity and production capacity. We have to be working on both. We have to be doing the work. That's production. That's why we're here. But we also need to be working on increasing the production capacity. That's working on it, not in it. You get the idea. In other words, work on the business, on the organization, on your life, on yourself, not just doing, working on the capacity. And finally, number 9, this is probably one of the most practical tools. Schedule your most challenging or your most important work during your most productive hours. My most productive hours are from 6:30 or 7 in the morning till about 1 o'clock. That is my sweet spot. That's why I put this hour power right there at 8:30. because this is my best time of the day. My not so good time of the day or my lesser time of the day is usually in the evening. So I try not to schedule real important things later in the day. I try to schedule my most important things early in the day because I tend to be a morning person. Some of you are more afternoon, evening people. That's when you get your second wind. So it's just scheduling where you can. Appointments, projects, working on yourself in the time when you're going to be most productive. So let's look back through those 9 helps for prioritization. Create a master list. Capture it all in one place. David Allen's Getting Things Done, huh? That's one of the things I'm going to send out to you if you want it. It's a 1-page summary of the book. It's a beautiful system. Second, get this distinction between importance and urgency. Get an understanding of that and use that matrix to start to prioritize things. Look at when you're doing your master list, look at divide them up into daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual things. That's a way to prioritize and get clarity. Third, take those daily tasks and use that Ivy Lee method of prioritization. Fourth, clarify the priorities further. If you have so many things, using the Brian Tracy's ABCDE method. Eat the frogs. Identify those distasteful things that you've been avoiding and procrastinating, and kill procrastination by doing the most unpleasant things that are important and getting them out of the way. You'll feel better for it. It'll energize you. 6, those big picture goals. Narrow the focus from 25 down to 5. Use Warren Buffett's 2-list strategy. Number 7, beware of continuing to work in a circle and not getting anywhere. And it's maybe better to let the boat sink and buy another boat. Quit looking for the leaks and get a new boat. 8, create leverage. More with less, get more done with less by proactively working smarter in the day. Take some time of the day to work on your future and on making things easier and more leveraged. And number 9, schedule your most important work during your most productive hours for yourself. So there's your 9 tools, your 9 helps for prioritization today. So what I'd like you to do now, if you have a pen and a paper handy, I'd like you to write down what you've learned and how you will change. And specifically, I'm going to challenge everybody on this call to do something here. Look back through that list of 9. In fact, I'll just move back to it. And you pick one of those tools, one of those ideas, one of those concepts, just one, and you say, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try it for a week. I'm going to try it for a month, whatever. You set the commitment and do it. If you don't do that, this has been a waste of time. I don't mean to be nasty and get on your back, but I'm just telling you straight as your coach today that it's clarity plus action that gets results. This is time to act. This is a time to commit to action. I'm going to pick one of these tools, Dave, and I'm going to learn how to use it. Now, I may not continue to use it. I may not like it after I use it, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to eat the Brussels sprouts. I may not like them, but at least I'm going to try it. Take one of these ideas, one of these helps, one of these tools, and even Google it. Find out a little bit more about it if you need to. But pick one of these and invest some effort and some time on doing something different and to see if it's helpful. If it's any one of these things could change things for you. Any one of them have the power to do that because they're going to help you get clear and prioritize. So I'm going to give you a moment just to take a look at that list again and pick one out. I hope you've chosen yours and you've said, I'm going to start today on that tool. I think number 1 is a good place to start if you're not sure where. to just get that list created. So, what have you learned and how will you change? That is the question. What are you going to do? Where are you going to take action? Here's something you can do. You can get a copy of these slides just by emailing me. I will send you a set of one-page articles, including the David Allen system, which I didn't go into the details, but I love that system. It's a summary. If you really like it, reading the one page, you could buy the book. Wonderful. Upon request, I'll send it to you. And third, if you'd like to have a 30-minute conversation with me, I'm at the age and the stage of my career and my life that I give some of my time away to people who just ask for it. And I'd love to do that with you. Maybe there's something on here you'd like to discuss. Maybe you'd like some more help with the tool or how to apply it. Just say, Dave, I'd like 30 minutes of your time. I'd like 30 minutes of your thoughts. I'd like you to listen to me for a little bit and help me get clarity. I would love to do that. That's free upon request. You just have to ask for it. How do I qualify? What am I obligated to? You're obligating to come and be fully present in that 30 minutes, to be there and to really zone it, hone in on me, and come with a way electronically, if we do this by Zoom, where you're not distracted and you're going to invest that 30 minutes in yourself. That is the requirement, that you're willing to take 30 minutes and invest it in yourself. If that's there, you qualify. I would love to do that. There's how you get a hold of me. Email is by far the best way. If you got my phone number and want to text me, that's okay too, but I prefer an email, Dave Beam at mentordavebeam.com, and ask for all the offers or one of them, and I will send that out to you within 48 hours. We'll have the session scheduled. If you want a 30-minute conversation, send me a day. Give me some days and some times when you can do that, and I'll find the one that's open and send you an invitation. So that is our meeting today, and I appreciate you all being with me, and we'll see you hopefully at the next one. And I will say goodbye for now. Go get into action. Thank you.